Welcome. I'm Judith Deutsch, and I am the proprietor of JSD for Tea, and we are going to be cooking today for the UCLA Retirees Association cooking classes. And hopefully soon we'll be back to in-person classes as well. Today we're going to make chocolate and raspberry parfaits, Christiana Campbell's Tavern Salmagundi, which is a chef salad, colonial chef salad. The tavern is in Colonial Williamsburg, and whipping cream biscuits. So we're going to start out with the pudding that goes in the parfaits because it has to sit for 5 minutes, and so we'll give it a lot of time to settle. Okay, I am using Jell-O chocolate instant pudding. On the back, it gives you the recipe for the pudding, 5-minute pudding, and that's what you want. You don't need to do any cooking. So we're going to dump that in. With 3 cups of cold milk, and I always shake the milk a little bit just to make sure, even though it's ultra pasteurized. Okay, so we're going to do 3 cups of milk. And I use whole milk because it gives it more body and also better flavor. It needs the extra milk fat. It isn't that much milk fat, actually. I'm going to take a wooden spoon, and I'm going to stir it for 2 minutes. So I actually have a clock over there that I'm going to be watching. You can also use a whisk. I've stopped for a minute and switched to a whisk so I can also show you how the whisk works. And the dishes we are using today, the plate for the Salmagundi, and the biscuit basket, and the basket for the raspberries. They are all from Colonial Williamsburg, and they are reproductions of the originals that were used in the colonial period. So as you can see, this is getting nice and thick. I'll do another minute, and then we'll go ahead and set it aside until we're ready to make the parfaits. Okay, so here we have our pudding, and it's going to rest for 5 minutes so that it will get a lot thicker. We'll just put it right over here for now. And we're going to start the Salmagundi salad. So we have this lovely plate. This is called creamware, and it was imported from England in the colonies. So the first thing we're going to do is switch recipes. And then we're going to go ahead and cut a base of lettuce. You can use any kind of lettuce, even a mixture of lettuces. I like the iceberg because we won't be eating it right away, and it stays fresh much longer. That's the reason I call it iceberg. It's light in color, and it's very compact, and it has a lot of water in it. So it's also low calorie. So here we're making the base for the salad. The Salmagundi is very much like a contemporary chef salad. But because Colonial Williamsburg was in the South, and it was on the Chesapeake Bay, they used a lot of seafood, along with the ham that they're known for. Okay, so here we have a base for the salad. Nice base. And now we're going to start putting the ingredients together. So we need a half a pound of ham, which is right here. And I buy it already sliced because it's easier, although you can have it sliced also in the store, any grocery store, deli section. So I'm just going to cut nice thin strips here. And this recipe makes for 4 people. Okay, so here we have our ham. And we just put it on one side of the salad here. Let it overlap a little onto the side of the plate. Okay, so then we're going to do our ham, our turkey. So we're going to do the same thing. I split it in half. And actually, if you want to go faster, you can put one on top of the other. And then just go ahead and slice. I use Henkel knives because I find that they're very sharp and you can see how easy they are to use. And this is a 6-inch. Okay, so there's the other meat. Okay, then we're going to take sardines. I use the Trader Joe's sardines in, let me find my fork. The Trader Joe's sardines in olive oil. And you just pick them up and slide them on. And then the same thing with the sardines. You pick them up and you slide them on. So that's your protein portion of your salad. And then we take 2 hard-boiled eggs. And the best way to make a hard-boiled egg is to put it in the water, wait for it to boil, and then leave it in for 20 minutes. And the older the egg, the easier it is to peel. So I put 1/2 here, 1/2 here, one half here, and 1/2 here. Now we're going to fill the inside portion. Okay, so it calls for celery hearts, and that would be the very inside of the celery. The whiter the celery, the sweeter it is, and the less it has it doesn't have strings. So I take this, and I just cut the very bottom off. And then I cut the heart in 4 pieces. And again, this is why a really good knife helps. And these go here. Watch your fingers because knives are very sharp. Okay, so now you've got your celery parts. Okay, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to take 8 sweet gherkins. Those are the little sweet pickles. And we're going to put these in here. And I'm only going to use 4 of them. But you can use up to 8 of them. And they're very nice and they're very crispy. And I'm just going to put a little extra lettuce along this edge so that it looks nice and balanced. And here you have a Salmagundi salad. It's very attractive. And we're going to make the dressing, which I take a little jar that I've saved from something else we've done. And it's a 1/4 cup of cider vinegar, which is different than your distilled vinegar. I have a hand problem. There we go. So we want a 1/4 cup of this. With 3/4 of a cup of oil. And I like olive oil because I like the flavor of it. I have very weak hands. Oh, wait. There it goes. I don't know if you people have noticed, but over the years, it's gotten harder and harder to get into the food because they're so afraid someone's going to tamper with it. I actually there was a drug deal going down in Beverly Hills on Little Santa Monica Boulevard, and I could not get my iced tea open. So I had asked 4 or 5 different people, nobody could do it. So I finally asked these gentlemen who were playing around with, little envelopes of white powder, and they arose to the situation. They could not get it open, but they saw a plumbing truck down the block, and they went running down the block, and they had him open it with a wrench. So that is one of my exciting adventures. We are now going to put 3/4 of a teaspoon of salt and a 1/2 teaspoon of white pepper. So I'll do a 1/2 and a 1/4. Yeah. And a 1/4. And then I love fresh pepper. So I am actually going to take the pepper. This chopping board, it's a beautiful chopping board. Not sure if it's mahogany or maple, but it was at Williams-Sonoma, and it was a $245 chopping board, solid wood. It's got gouges on the other side of it for meat or anything that's got juices. And they had not oiled it. You must always oil your chopping blocks. I use just plain olive oil, and I wipe it down about once a month. So it was very chalky. It was not very good looking. And I was looking at it, and I had been an art conservator at the J. Paul Getty Museum, and one of my specialties was wood. So I knew it just needed to be moisturized. So I was trying to tell the manager that they could handle it, you know, and it would be able to be on sale for $245. The woman said to me, "We don't want to be bothered with it. Will you take it for $25? So I now have a gorgeous board. I use it for charcuterie and all kinds of different things. And I've had it about 10 years now. And it's my favorite board. It's huge. Okay, so we have the dressing. And we just lightly pour a little of it over our salad. And that's how we serve it. So there's our Salmagundi salad. Okay. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to have fun with biscuits. This is a new recipe I just found in a Southern cookbook. And it's not your traditional baking powder biscuits. It sort of is. And I'll tell you why. But I'm going to move this over to here. And I will be right back. It is a gorgeous salad. People always ooh and ah when I put it on the table. Okay, so now we're going to do baking powder biscuits. Well, we're going to do whipping cream biscuits. And the reason it's like a baking powder biscuit is that, I want to use this one, is that it uses self-rising flour. So the self-rising flour takes the place of adding the baking powder. So this is so easy. We take a cup of the flour. It makes 6 to 8 biscuits. We take a cup of the flour, and we're going to do 1/3 cup 3 times because I had liquid in the measuring cup, the 1 cup measuring cup. So we'll just do this. And I use the back of the knife to make sure it's flat. That's 1. And I'm dipping. You can also spoon it in, whichever you want to do. Okay, that's 1 cup of the flour. And then, I love these containers. Okay, and then we are going, let's see. Here's whipping cream. So we want 1/2 cup of the whipping cream. 3/4, this looks like 1/2. Yeah. Okay, so we pour in 1/2 cup of whipping cream. And I have my handy duty spatulas. I love these. I get these at Sur La Table, and I can get them at Williams-Sonoma. But they get into everything, and they're just fabulous. Now, this says to cut the the whipping cream in with a fork, but I also started out with one of these spatulas, because as you can see, it's getting everything nice and wet. These are the only 2 ingredients in the biscuits, so you can do it just about anywhere. So I'm just mixing the biscuits in here on the sides. I'm going to smush it down a little bit, make sure that I get all of the dry flour integrated into it. I'm actually not going to even need the fork. This will do it, because the one thing we do with it is we knead it. Okay, so there it is, as you can see, and it's a thick batter, and it's a fairly dry batter. But what we do with the batter is we take a piece of parchment paper. I love parchment paper. It's my second favorite thing to the little scoops. And we take our hand and we push it all together to make sure we've got everything, and we put it down on the paper. So now we're going to knead it, which mixes the flour in with the cream. And can you see what I'm doing? I am moving it 1/4, folding it over and pressing it down. Moving it 1/4, folding it over and pressing it down with the palm of my hand. Turning it over, and you can see it start to become a nice regular dough. You see how it's sticking together, looking like a dough? And then everything that's on the little sheet here gets incorporated. I just push it down over the little bits and pieces that might be on the paper. And I do this about 10 times, between 10 and 12 times, until it's very nice and dough-like. And when you make the Salmagundi, you can add pimentos, you can add red pepper, you can add onions and scallions. You can add whatever you want to it, as long as you've got the base and you've got the meats in it. And sometimes they put cheese in it. Cheddar cheese is very good in it, and so is Swiss. Okay, so now we've got a nice dough, and we make a circle out of it. We put it back on the paper, and we take our trusty pastry rolling pin, and we roll it. And the nice thing about the rolling pin is it doesn't really stick to the ceramic rolling pin. Very little. As you can see, it's looking really good. So I make it about 1/4 inch thick, maybe a little less. I make it enough so that I know I can get at least 6 biscuits out of it. Okay, so this should do 6 biscuits for me. And I have a little biscuit cutter. So I go around the edge first, and I twist it a little to make sure that it's coming out. That's 3. You can see what it looks like. And it's already starting to rise a little bit. And then I take one out of the middle. So I've got 6 here. And I'm going to just roll this one more time, lightly. So we got, and you know, if you wanted to, you could put cheddar cheese on the top, shredded cheddar cheese. You can do all kinds of fancy things with them. You could probably put raisins or cranberries in the dough. Okay, so here we've got enough for 2 more. And again, as you can see, it's not on the rolling pin. So here's another one. And we'll just, I'm going to cheat and push this around like this. Run it a second. And make one more. Okay. So we actually got 8 out of this, and one little smushy one, which we'll put in with it. Okay, so these are now ready to go into the oven, and the beauty of it is that there's no cleanup. Okay, I put the paper in the pan. You can actually use the same paper and just move it over into the pan. And then you put these in. Oh, here, I'll move it up the other way. And here are your biscuits. And when they come out of the oven, they look like this. They're darling little biscuits. Okay, and they take 10 minutes to cook. 450 for 10 minutes. That's it. It's done. Okay, let's go back to our parfaits. So I have chosen 2 beer glasses because I like them. They're Stella Rosa glasses, but they have little crowns. They're very pretty, and they've got a nice little bottom on them. But you can use anything you want. The taller, not like this size, the better, rather than something really short, because you're going to want layers to show. So the next thing we do is we get out our vanilla wafers, and you can also use graham crackers. You can use the wafers or the graham crackers, and about 2 cups, but I'm just going to pour some in here. We're going to make 2 of them. So here we have our wafers, and we're going to make sure you get the air out of the bag. And this is where you can get all your aggressions for the week. Take it out on your little vanilla wafers. You can use a hammer on them if you want, but this is much faster and much more even. And they don't have to be perfect because they're going to be going into the bottom. Okay, so here we have our little wafers. And what we do is we take our 2 bowls, our 2 glasses, and we put a handful of wafers in the bottom. I think that looks pretty good. About even. Then we take our now thickened, see, much thicker. we're going to take our other spatula. Okay, so now we're going to plop some, try not to get it on the sides. We're going to plop some pudding in. Okay, we're going to take the raspberries and we're going to put some layer of raspberries in. So as you can see, we're starting to get layers here. So the next thing we're going to do is put more crumbs in. On top of the berries. Press them down a little bit. Okay. I'm going to put more of the pudding in. And finish up with a layer of the raspberries. Now, if you wanted to, you could whip some whipping cream and put it on the top over the berries, if you wanted to make it real fancy. And you can even get chocolate sprinkles and put that on top of the whipped cream. We can sprinkle a little sugar on the top of this if we want to. We can also take a jar of chocolate syrup and put it over the raspberries as well. I'm a simplist, so I like them like this, but this is what your parfait looks like with the different layers. Let me see if I can hold this from the bottom. So besides the 10 minutes of the biscuits, we have done this whole lunch or dinner for summer without really lighting the stove or cooking anything. And the kitchen remains beautifully cool and the house remains cool. So thank you for joining us. Again, here's the parfaits and the biscuits and the Salmagundi. Thank you for joining us and have a wonderful summer.